And we're live on YouTube.
Do we have sound? Hello and welcome everyone that's out there in the real world. Oh my goodness, so excited to be here tonight. It should be a good show, should be a fun show. I'm looking forward to it because I get to talk about something that I use every day. But also, I get to bring in a good friend of mine. Everybody knows that I'm a good friend with Andy Hatchett. And Andy, say hello to everyone tonight.
Hello, everyone. Oh, wait, that's the other show, isn't it? I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. You can say whatever you want here. Everybody let us know. Make sure you can hear us out there because we worked really hard to get this sound right on all these different things. So I want to make sure everybody's hearing us out there. And there we go. And so I wanted to just say this is really good. This is good stuff because we're talking tonight. We're going to talk about Zoom. Zoom is a meeting platform that I tell you, it really has come a long way. I mean, I've used this. I don't know if you did, Andy, but I've used this for a really long time in the past. Tried it out and really was not totally sold on it.
The first time around, I wasn't really either, but then I got sort of hooked on it, and I've been using it. I went to the paid version in July of last year, so it's coming up on the year for the paid
Mm,
version. I think I
gotcha.
used the free version maybe 3 months before that.
Gotcha. And just to always recognize people that are in the audience, I see that Art is out there and Miss Sheila's out there. Hello, Sheila. How are you, girl? Um, yeah, also, I wanted to thank Andrew as well. This was kind of last minute. I had somebody that lined up and that person didn't work out. And so that's what I do. I was either going to wing it, do an on the back porch one, because everybody seemed to like that one, or get Andrew in here. And Andy, I know I'm going to tell you this a bunch of times. Try and stay toward the middle if you
Oh,
can.
I'm sorry.
You're all right. You're all right. Well, let's get right at it. Let's talk about what we wanted to talk about with Zoom tonight. I know Andrew did one with one for us before with Zoom and told us some of the features and some of the things that we were doing and things that you can do. What I want to do, and if you look at the post that I put out there for everybody to join tonight, I put out there. What do you want to do in your meetings that you can't do? Or what do you think you can't do? Or what would be something that you really like? And why do you use one over the other? Love to hear any responses or comments that you folks might have out there. Please add those in. And I'm going to show you. Also, I also mentioned in the post. We're gonna put some kind of a tips and tricks kind of thing. Some of the things maybe you didn't know that you could do, but also maybe some of the things that you knew but needed to be reminded. So that's kind of what this show is all about. So anybody that joins us and people that join late, I don't know who's out there right now. I'm not sure how many are viewing. I didn't look at that, but if we can just get your questions and anybody ask whatever you want, feel free to do so because that's what the show is all about. Get some input. It's collaborative, so please join in. Andrew, I'm gonna let you rock and roll right here, so I'm gonna let you start us off.
Okay. Um, First is probably best to remind you some of the things that have been mentioned in the past, but lately I've noticed other uses for them. Uh, as most of you know, I'm not big on marketing and promotion and selling and that type of thing. But if you want to use this platform to do it, it's got a lot of great features. The very first one is you see that name, Tinkering with Tech, and Michael's thing, or mine, where it says Andy Hatchett. That space can hold 60 characters.
Oh
So
wow, really?
yes, I could change my name and have, user to user live, bit.ly/ whatever, do the whole promotion for the Zoom talks or the user to user community, or Michael could actually put in his email to contact him about joining the Tinkering the Tech community. It's a great branding feature. Of course, Hangouts on Air had their toolbox. This isn't quite the lower third that was, but it's a great branding feature and it's so easy to do. You just go up, click your three dots on your video thing, hit the rename thing, type in what you want in there. And like I say, it holds 60 characters. Yeah.
Interesting. So you're saying that's a little tip and trick right there. You can use the rename feature to
Mm-hmm.
rename it to brand yourself. Now, there's no
Yeah.
graphics or anything like that. Well,
No,
it's not going to show up for them because I'm doing this through OBS, so they won't see it, Andrew.
they won't see if I change my name.
No, because I don't
Oh,
record that. I
oh, you
record.
don't record that.
No, I don't
Oh, okay.
record that.
All right.
It's
Well,
OBS
'cause I
program.
was going to demonstrate it.
I
Okay.
see. I knew you were.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to stop you real quick. But that's fine.
Okay.
A great one. I
eh,
like that. That's a great tip because, again, a lot of people are always looking for that too. Hey, how do I get people's name up there? How do I get this? Or, what their company or their email address, and boom, you can do it right there. I like it.
yeah, and what's good is you can set up a separate email address that only shows in your videos. So if you get mail at that address, you know they had to see your video to get that email address. It's a good way of
That's a
keeping
good
track of
point.
where your email is coming from.
Good point.
The second thing is the Zoom group chat and the participants. If you're in, you'll notice the participant thing down at the bottom. You click on that and you click on your group chat, open both of them at the same time. It lines it up on the right hand side. For a host, this is great because that way you can keep track of the timing feature. If you put tracking on, you can tell when somebody moves away from your thing. You might want to throw a poll up to bring them back into the conversation or whatever. And you can keep track of the Zoom chat at the same time so you don't miss anything by having to switch from one to the other. You've got your raise hands and nonverbal thing. So that's a great thing. You can say, like how many of you, want to use Zoom but are only raise your hands. Immediately you'll see everybody that participates with their hand raised. And when they raise their hand, those names go to the top of the participant list so that you can, if you've got them muted, you can unmute them and let them talk and then mute them again when they're finished.
All right, so let me see if I can screenshot. I don't know if we'll be able to see this. This is over top of both of us, and it's going to get all blurry in the background. Probably it's actually going to get real blurry altogether. So I'm not going to do that. I thought I could do that, but it's with our video. Oh, I know why. Hold on. If I take this back off, it should be fine. Let me do that. Okay, so now it's going to have me in the background, but I'll shrink that down. Okay, good. Okay, so let me do this again. Okay, so I'm going to show this, and basically this is what Andrew's talking about. Now, this isn't going to be very clear because it's a video of a video, but what he's talking about is over here you have these couple of features here, and it'll have all the information, and it has all this stuff. Now, I have this split out and away from the video. Is that what you're talking about?
Okay, it's not showing. All right, now it's coming up.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the participants. And then if you also open the chat, it'll put that at the bottom of that participants list. So you'll have two windows, one stacked on top of the other.
Right. Now I have them where they pop out because I have it in full view.
Right.
But that's the difference. But what he's saying is what you'll get is going to look something like this, where it's connected. One's at the top and one's at the bottom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep, and that's amazing. I mean, I think I was there when you found that out or whatever. You're like, oh wow, I didn't know it did that. Actually,
Yeah, I didn't either. I didn't know I had one open. I just accidentally clicked the button, and stumbled on it.
Yeah, so that is kind of nice.
Yeah.
I like that you can also set it up where you can directly chat to specific people too.
Mm-hmm. If you set it up, now a lot of people, depends on what kind of meeting or you're running, you may not want all that interaction among the participants. So you can fix it so they can only chat with you or with you and everybody, but can't send private messages to the individual people.
Right, gotcha. Okay.
Strictly your choice as a host.
Yeah, kind of like that.
One other thing is the update policy of Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
They, unless it's a very, very, very critical update, they will not force an update on you. So you have to check for your updates. So what you want to do is when you log into your Zoom thing, you get your little scheduler that got those orange and blue buttons on it. You go up, click the drop down by your name, and there's this thing there that says check for updates. And Zoom comes out with a bunch of updates,
Nice.
you know, about every 2 weeks.
Wow.
You know,
That is a
yeah,
lot.
yeah,
And
it
it
is.
and it won't auto update though, correct?
No,
You have to
you
do it.
have to check for update, and when you do, you'll get a pink bar across your thing, and you click
Nice.
to actually start the update. You have to manually start it yourself.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, what
Uh,
else?
the other thing, let's see. Let me check my list here. We got that. Oh, one thing, and this doesn't apply to meetings as much as it does webinars, but if you are actually doing marketing campaigning and you want to know exactly where your people are coming from and everything, if you've got the webinar package, you can set up to 20 tracking things. So you could have a post on LinkedIn, Zoom, Facebook, Twitter, and have a different response thing. It will tell you how many people visited that link and how many actually registered from that link. It's a great tracking thing if you want to keep track of where your audience is coming from for your meetings and your webinars.
So, and that's only for webinar though. We're talking about
That's
meetings today, right?
only for webinars at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
several people have requested that it be moved down to meetings, and that's one good thing. Zoom does listen to their feedback and they tend to act on it. Usually, if it's not too difficult, you
Mhm.
can get. I've made a request and seen it show up within 2 months,
Wow, that's pretty
and
good actually.
that's unheard of in the software
Yeah,
industry.
it really
Yeah,
is. I mean,
yeah,
but it's good that they listen though because that, I mean that's how it gets better in my opinion. And it's practical use I think is what they're listening to.
yeah, yeah. If you can build a good
Use
you know,
case.
yeah, if you can build a good business use case for it and show that it's needed,
Yeah,
they'll
they're going to
act on
go
it.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
The
right,
other
what
thing used to
else?
be is reports. Unfortunately, reports, most of them depend on having registration for your events rather than, letting people join before hosts and all that, where you have to actually register and you can't get the reports during your meeting. The
Get them
meeting has,
afterward.
yeah, and then you go into your analytics.
So, registered meetings are the only way to get reports, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, now there are some. They've got one called inactive host and active host. There are some that you can get without having registration because it's tracking stuff on your account.
Okay. Okay.
But if you want analytics of who joined your meeting and how long they stayed, the only way is to have registration.
Mhm. Got you.
And they've got a world of reports. They've got 6 different classes of reports, and most of them have 3 or 4 reports within each of those 6 classes. So there's about 25 different reports you can get.
Okay, nice.
And the big thing that I found out just 2 days ago is the integration that Zoom has with Zapier.
Hmm.
They've got 37 pre-programmed integrations
That can
that
be convenient, huh?
yes, and it spreads across 25 different programs, lead pages, Source One, all your big thing, Mailchimp. They even have a PayPal integration now.
Hmm.
You know, Google Calendars. They've got 3 different integrations that they can do different things with your Google Calendars by going through
Nice.
Zapier. And I've got a link to that. Hang on, let me get it here.
Well, that's fine.
And
we'll put it in the
that's what I'm
description
going
after
to do.
the
I'm
YouTube.
going to put it in the description in the chat. Control
Okay.
C, uh, Control V. Okay, that's in that chat, and now we will put it over in the YouTube chat too. Control V.
Alrighty.
You click on that, it'll take you to the page, and then down at the bottom, they only show 5 at a time, but you can do the arrow across to see all 37 of them. And that's all the real tricks and tips I have, except for one other thing, and that is the Zoom. tricks and tips collection that I've got. Everybody may not know about it, but there is a collection. If you go over to my profile and look at it, it's there. That's for those of you who may want to follow what I find out about Zoom, but don't want to find out about anything else that I'm dealing with. If you just want the Zoom information, you'll find it there. I do share it into the user to user, so you can get it both places. But if you don't care about user to user, want just Zoom, you can go there and find it.
Where do they go exactly?
Just go to my profile.
Your profile on Google Plus, though, right?
On Google Plus, yeah. Let me.
So it'll have to be on Google Plus. Anybody that doesn't have Google Plus, you won't be able to access that. But if you do have a Google account and you have Google Plus, anybody that's watching this from YouTube or Facebook or wherever you're watching it from, you would have to have a G Plus account.
Mm-hmm. And some of them, depending on how big they are, I may put over on. I'm also over on Facebook, but I don't play over there a whole lot.
Okay.
But and of course, I'm available by pinging anytime.
Okay. One thing that I was going to mention and I was going to bring up is one thing that it allows you to do that I think I used this actually the other day. We had a meeting and somebody was not near their computer or they didn't have a smartphone or whatever it was, but they could get on a telephone, and you can actually come into a meeting via telephone as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how does that work? Do you just somebody just send you the code and you just enter the code and phone number, or do you know?
When you send them an invitation, it'll have a phone number listed.
Okay.
That they can
call in.
Call in.
Okay.
And basically, you can also, if you want to, you can get an extended thing that is worldwide. You can, if you've got a big enough business, you can provide toll-free worldwide calling for your client.
Nice, very nice.
I mean, this thing is really, it's built for business. Now, the Zoom name started in 2011. It is not that new. Everybody seems to have just discovered it within the 18 months or so, but it's been around a while.
Oh, yeah.
And they, in fact, just today, they had a thing on their blog, 20th Century Fox uses Zoom for all 40,000 of their employees for their communications.
Wonderful.
Both internally and with their clients.
Very good.
It's a solid company.
One thing that another thing that I had the other day, and I'm just bringing up, I have a list of things that I thought was really cool that I forgot or just didn't remember or I could remember. I had an issue the other day. Somebody came into the meeting and was just so loud. You can actually set it up to where they mute participants automatically, right, when they come in, right?
Yes, you can.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. That's so wonderful, because some people are getting situated and they got to the meeting late.
Mm-hmm. And what's really neat about it is you can set it so that they're muted when they come in, and you can allow them to unmute themselves.
Nice.
Or you can set it so that they can't unmute themselves ever during that. You can, even though it's a meeting, you can treat it like a webinar. You mute them and they can't ever speak. All they can do is type the chat thing. If you want them to be paying attention to your presentation, you bring them in, you mute them, you spotlight your video so they can't switch scenes or anything, and they sit there and they watch it like a webinar. Then, once your presentation is over, you can unmute them, open up the chat,
nice,
and do the discussion. Hold all your questions until the end, so you get through your, you're not interrupted during your presentation.
Yeah, very nice.
It's really, really a flexible program.
Now, what about like mobile? That's for mobile as well, right? It doesn't matter how you come in; it still mutes you when you come in and that kind of stuff, right?
Mobile is what they call less full experience, because there are some things that you cannot do on mobile that you can do on desktop. But yeah, they've got an Android thing, they've got a iOS thing. And basically, as long as you can get on the internet, you can get into a Zoom thing.
Okay, two questions, and I know these are mobile questions, and you may not know, but you probably do, just because you've gotten so many people that ask that kind of stuff. Um, can I host and start a Zoom meeting from my mobile device?
Yes.
Oh, nice. That's good to know. That's great for
Yes.
people to know. Some people just that that drives people crazy about other stuff that you can't do that. So that's a good thing. That's a great thing. Let me ask you this.
Hmm.
Since you're limited, because you mentioned that you're limited, I know there's a possibility to do co host. Can someone on mobile become a co host? And I think the answer is no, but is that right?
To tell you the truth, Michael, I'm not really sure. I have not
Great.
heard anybody
Awesome.
specifically say that they cannot be.
Okay, so I'm going to write that down. We will get back to anyone. Co host
And I can
can.
clarify that with Matt on Friday.
Okay,
Uh, that's one other good thing about them, about Zoom. They have twice a week on Tuesday afternoons and Friday mornings.
that
They
is
have
nice.
meetings in the meeting thing. So you actually get
Hmm.
a hands on with doing the break rooms and the carrying the whiteboards and the whole thing. And they offer 25 training sessions a week. If you go over to zoom.us
Yeah.
slash live training, you got a world of stuff open to you. And their support is beyond belief. They
You
got
know,
something like 87 training videos that are less than 2 minutes. You want to know how to do one specific thing?
yeah.
Bang, it's there.
So, co host, let's talk a little bit about co host.
Okay.
Probably some of the benefits, because the co host can do a lot of the things a host can do. Is that correct?
The co host can do everything that a host can do, except they cannot end the meeting. And
Okay.
there's one other thing that they can't do, and that slips my mind at the moment.
Okay.
But there's only two things I know of that the co host cannot do that a host can do.
I think there's things you can turn off for the co-host, like allowing the host or the co-host to be able to put attendee on hold or something like that. I think there's a couple
Something
things.
like that.
There's
Yeah.
a couple
Yeah.
things that you can allow them to do and not allow them to do too.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think.
yeah. And that's one good tip. Be sure if you're going to be playing with this thing, take the time to go through the entire meeting list of meeting options
Yeah.
when you get this thing started, because there's a world of them. And if you click this one on, it may affect turning something else off. So be sure you understand
Hmm.
the repercussions of turning different things on and off. But like I say, this thing is so flexible.
Hmm.
There is one thing that will catch you out in your recording, and that is if you start a meeting and you start recording on the local computer, on your local computer, rather than to the Zoom cloud, and you go into a break room, you set up the break rooms, you as host go into a break room. If you're recording locally, the recording will follow you.
Hmm.
If you're recording to the cloud, it will not follow you into the break room. So if you're a host and recording to the cloud, once you get in the break room and you want to record what's going on in that break room, you have to start a separate recording, which is as easy as just clicking the record button. It's no big thing, but you got to remember that, because I did that. I was
Interesting.
recording to the cloud and I thought I heard that it would follow me, so I assumed it followed me into the break room. Well, it turns out it didn't. You know
Interesting.
that.
So we had one of our meetings that we had. This was really really cool, and I think you should just touch on it. You don't have to go into great detail, but one of the cool things you can do. One of the guys brought his phone up on screen, and so we all wanted to annotate and show him how to get to certain parts and show him which button and all that kind of stuff and where to hit. And we were able to do that because of the annotations. You can allow everyone to mark, write, type, do whatever. Very productive and great for a meeting, in my opinion.
Mhm. It is. It really, really is. Especially if you've got some sort of complicated document and you've got, Bessie up here making notes about this misspelled word up in the right hand corner, and somebody else is saying, yeah, but look at that drawing down in the left hand corner. That's wrong too.
Mm-hmm.
And they star that with their thing using different colors and everything. And then they've got a whiteboard. Unfortunately, you cannot pre-populate the whiteboard.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. Yeah.
Although they also have had requests for that, so
Yeah.
it may be coming. You know.
But what's nice is for example, I could screen share my phone. So I
Hmm.
can screen share with somebody my phone and I can sit there and watch them annotate, what to,
Yeah,
what button to hit and stuff like that. That's really, really cool. That's one thing a lot of people, I didn't know if they knew it, but that's a great feature in my opinion. I love that. I think that's really a cool thing because it's such a flexible thing with the mobile and the desktop side. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. You know, there are a few things lacking, but overall, and like I say, the more I'm paying attention to it now, for marketing and promoting your business. Of course, I don't have a business or anything to promote, so I've
Mm-hmm.
never been really interested in looking at how those features can be used. But I've had so many people question, well, can I do this? I've started taking a closer look. This thing is made for really, you know, you can run a complete business out of this thing.
Yeah, one thing that I thought, and we found this the other day too, is remote control. I did
Hmm.
not know you could take a remote control, but it has an option where you can turn that on, and it's like during screen sharing, the person who is sharing can allow others to control the shared content. That's
Hmm.
crazy.
Yeah, it is. The only thing about the remote control is if you can also do end-to-end encryption, but you
Hmm.
can't do end-to-end encryption and file share in the chat
Okay.
because it will not encrypt the file that's in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's
Interesting.
another thing about sharing. You can share a file right here in the chat. You don't have to use email attachments to get to them or anything. It's just
Right.
bang, and it can be up to 512 megabytes.
That's pretty awesome. Now, let me ask you this: like, can you turn off screen sharing so someone cannot screen share?
Uh, I I'm trying to think. I don't recall seeing a setting for that, but there are 92 of them, so I'm not going to say it's not there. Yeah.
I'm going to also put this comment up that Miss Sheila put up there because she's right. And you can annotate on PowerPoints during the presentation. That's really kind of cool, too. That's
Hmm.
neat to be able to do that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think that you can, though. I think you can allow the host and participants to share their screen or content during meetings. Yep, I just found it.
Okay.
So you can turn that on and turn that off. And then during the event, you can actually turn on allow everyone to share their screen, right? That's
Yeah.
an option.
If you click, if you're the host, there's a little carrot down by the screen share thing at the bottom, and you click that, and you can allow one person alone. You can allow multiple people to screen share.
Hmm.
But if you allow multiple people to screen share, if you're screen sharing, you cannot look at other people's screens.
Okay. Makes sense.
You know,
Makes sense because you're sharing yours. Why would you want? I
yeah,
mean, how could you possibly be able to do that? So, yes.
yeah. I mean, unless you're like me and signed in on another computer under another name,
Or like me, where you have dual screens or dual monitors or whatever they call it. I can
Hmm.
I can do it as well because I
Yeah,
use a dual monitor feature. So,
yeah.
um, I know a lot of this is important to some people, not all people, especially with a meeting. It's more toward webinars and things like that. But I did want to touch on it because you actually can live stream. Correct?
Hmm.
There
Now
is a way to
with
live stream.
meetings,
Mm-hmm.
it's tricky
Mm-hmm.
because with meetings you can only live stream to a Facebook Workplace or to a custom streaming service.
Okay.
You have those two choices. With the webinar package, you can live stream directly to the regular Facebook Live, to YouTube, and to a custom streaming service.
Mm.
Yeah, and Facebook Workplace, I mean, basically it's for business and those within your domain. So if you're trying to attract an outside crowd, there's not a lot of sense doing that live streaming. If you do that, you want to use the custom feature and do it to Ustream or 24 hours stream or whatever custom service you want. And you have
Okay.
to get there's three pieces of information. You have to get those from your custom streaming service.
That you have to get specifically with them is what you're saying.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, like you could actually set it up so that you could use a custom streaming service, probably like Remix, and send it out,
Oh,
or
okay. I
you
see.
could just send it. You could get the three pieces of information from Twitch and send it over there, maybe. Yeah.
Hmm.
Of course, I don't do that much live streaming, so I'm not that noticeable about it.
So, okay. So I was going to ask you something else about a setting. I think I can't remember which one it was off the top of my head. I should have written it down. I know
Mm,
something about anything that has to do with like your monitor and stuff, because the settings in two different places. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. Some of your settings with Zoom are in a what do we call that? A
mm-hmm.
desktop app type thing.
Yeah,
And then further settings are actually on your account online. You have to go into a browser and set those. Is that correct?
that is correct.
Okay. And so I know you said 92. Is that including all of those?
That includes both the meetings and the webinar and the room, conference room settings.
Oh, really?
That's across the entire Zoom platform.
Hmm.
That's what, and even if you go over to the website itself to do it from your web portal,
Mm-hmm.
you've got your meeting settings, but then further down, if you're an account owner, you've got account settings, and if you set those there,
So they
they can't
override?
be overridden. Yeah,
Oh,
nobody else could override them if you've got, because you can have more than one Zoom account. You can have more than one person. I could buy
really?
two licenses and then give you one of them. You would be on my account. I could set the account setting so that you couldn't allow people to screen share, but I
Okay.
could. And you couldn't change that setting because it's set at the account level rather than at the meeting level.
Okay, one thing I think is really kind of cool too, and you can kind of share with the folks out there, because I've seen this. I don't know if I have this because I have dual monitors or not, but there's an option for side by side mode.
Yes.
Side by side, talk to them about that. What does side by side mode mean,
Okay.
basically?
Basically, what it is when somebody's screen sharing and you get the little bar across the top, part of it's green and says you're so and so sharing a screen. The other one is black and says in white view options. You click on that, you get a drop down menu. There are several items there. You a zoom thing that you can actually zoom in and out now individually. So if you have trouble seeing, you can zoom stuff in close without it affecting anybody else. But one of the options is side by side. When that happens, what it does is it puts the film strip next to the regular window, and you can slide those so you can allow 10% for the film strip so you can see everybody's picture real big, or you can make them as small as
Slide it off,
possible and
yeah.
have the content in the bigger picture. You can adjust the
So it,
size of each side.
okay, so it automatically adjusts when you do that.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a
Hmm.
really neat feature.
What do you think? And you've had experience with GoToMeeting, I believe it was. Didn't that what you
Uh,
said a long time ago?
yes.
GoToMeeting. You've had experience with GoToMeeting. You've had some experience with Skype, maybe not a whole lot. You've had experience with Hangouts. You've had experience now with Zoom.
Hmm.
Give me some ideas and comparisons. And I know that you really like Zoom now better, and I get that. I totally get what you're saying there. I mean, because I do too. But give me your probably if you could just say these couple things are probably why you pick Zoom over one of those others. Eh, Okay,
Well,
okay, so
okay.
big advantage versus a big disadvantage. I guess is kind of where I'm going with that. Does that make sense?
Okay, let's roll back in time
Okay.
to the mid 90s. I was using GoToMeeting.
Mm-hmm.
GoToMeeting at that time was the go-to place. The only problem with it was the interface was a little clunky. You could record things, but it took forever to actually get the recording if you actually got it. A lot of times you didn't. So there was, I was constantly looking to upgrade on. Along comes Google with their Hangouts. Great. It did almost everything I wanted at the time. And I would have kept them had business hangouts not come along. Business
Mm-hmm.
hangouts offered a world of options that you could not do in hangouts. You could,
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah,
yeah,
business hangouts. That was a big deal.
you could actually show a video in a video, but it wouldn't record the video, so you didn't get copyright strikes on
Mm-hmm.
your YouTube recordings and everything. It was great, you know. Um, and then Google Hangouts started going, I won't say away, but it became less perfect than what it had been.
Mm-hmm.
That caused a lot of trouble for business hangouts. They went to WebRTC and dropped being based on the Google Hangouts. When they did that, there are some functions that they lost in the new ones that had been in the old ones. About that same time, I found Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Zoom allowed most of what business hangouts didn't allow in the newest one. And so I switched over. One thing that caught me immediately was the quality of the video. It just, it was head and shoulders above anything else at that time. And so basically, it wasn't so much that I was dissatisfied and look, it's just like things weren't working. And once they stopped working, I'm the type,
Mm-hmm.
I'll go out and find something else. I stumbled on, I mean, we looked at what was it, Aperium. We
Mm-hmm.
looked at, what was that other one? Uh, the one where it wouldn't recognize the cameras.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I
I
know what you're
forget
talking
it,
about.
even forget its name now.
Yeah.
Blab I never really did get into because it to me it was
Right, but
just
that wasn't really a meeting. I'm talking more of
yeah
a.
that
I'm
was
talking
yeah
more of a meeting stuff. This is more from
yeah
meeting and that kind of stuff.
and really Zoom fulfills most of what I want. And like I say, I'm not into marketing or pushing product or anything, but it's like for doing tutorials and things
Yeah,
and like stuff like this, it's great. I
yeah.
don't know the product that can compare with it, particularly at the price point.
Right, exactly.
The
Yeah,
meeting for $15 a month. It's
yeah.
I'm
That
sorry, it's just a hands down winner. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Chad Lafarge is out there. Hey, Chad, and he brings up a great point too. He says, "Hi guys, for me, Zoom is so much easier for new users to enter using any device." I agree with that. The any device part is big, and Zoom does record, which is great. But when I need that, I use other tools. And then he says, "Zoom screen share resolution is the best to me." Yeah, and Miss Sheila out there, she
Hmm.
agrees. And that is so true. I mean, that's a big deal. That's one of the reasons why, like I'm doing this today, we're using a Zoom to bring your video in with me, so we can have a chatting, talking heads thing where we can chat to one another, being in two different parts of the world. So that to me, with this quality, I think the video of the quality is so much better, and I think that's what helps with that kind of stuff. And one of the reasons why I use Zoom over a couple of those others that you mentioned.
Hmm.
I think that's a big deal. So great points. Great. What else? Anything else that you wanted to add, or what you would say for?
No, that's about all the rabbit holes that I've found.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm certain there are a whole lot more to be found. Like I say, I don't use the webinars yet. They come the end of June, no, end of July. I'm getting the webinar platform so I can start playing with it because for like I say, for business and marketing and that
Yeah.
kind of thing, it's got some great options that I've
Yeah.
seen mentioned in their webinars
I like
that I
the. I like one thing too, and Chad Lafarge kind of touched on it on his last comment, but it's their service. If you have an issue, you go on right now to their website and chat with somebody, and you just get a response, whether they can do it or not. And they're real open to allowing you to, hey, yeah, can you leave this as feedback? they'll turn your whole Zoom chat with the customer support and turn that into feedback and say, yes, I'll submit this right now, which is really
Yeah,
pretty awesome.
I've talked to them at 2 in the morning, and I've
Yeah,
had them say, "I don't know, but hang on, I'll
yeah,
get somebody in here that
yeah,
does."
yeah.
And 10 minutes later, somebody else has come in and solved the problem
And
with
that's
it.
because they had to wake them up.
Yeah.
No, that's because they had to wake them
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, their online support really cannot be beat. It is just
Yeah, that's
hands
pretty
down.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that from a Hangouts or a Skype or or
Mm-mm.
a GoToMeeting, really. I mean, any of that kind of stuff. It's just their whole website is designed for
Yeah.
supporting people.
Well, I mean, look at their CEO. Once a month, he does a Ask Me Anything
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
CEO. Now, when was the last time you saw Larry Page get on a Hangout and answer questions?
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
he just the whole bit. And to hear him talk, he is about nothing more than the customer being happy. I have
Hmm.
never heard a man talk about his customers being happy and how happy he wants them to be. That's
Hmm.
how he's running that whole company.
Hmm. Makes
You know,
sense. Makes
yeah.
total sense. Yep. So lots. I've heard lots of advertising on the radio and stuff about Zoom and stuff like that. So it's getting more and more popular all the time. And if they can keep the quality up, and I think that's one of the key things. Some of these other things that are out there are internet based. And when it's running through your browser, I think it degrades the quality, I think I could say. Whereas since it's running on your computer as a separate entity, Zoom works a lot better. Whether it's on your phone or whether it's on your device, it's downloaded there either as an app or as a product. So I think that's one of the reasons why it gives you such a great quality. Andrew, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you
I
very
appreciate the
much.
opportunity to mouth off.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean I know that. I mean I could have done this probably on my own, but I think it was much better having you because I know that you spend so much time with Zoom and those people and working and going to the different webinars and meetings and stuff like that. So I just felt like it was appropriate, and I appreciate you doing it, and especially at such short notice too.
Oh yeah, and just in case anybody's watching that doesn't know, there is a Zoom room open 12 hours a day, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern. The link is posted in several places in the user community, and
Hmm.
it's always that's the beauty part of it too. You set up a recurring meeting, it's the same link number over and over and over. You
Yeah.
never have to worry about getting new links or anything. And I'm there practically all day. I may be napping sometimes, but I always that's where the name change thing comes in. I can say napping or walking. So when
Hmm.
somebody comes in, they know not to expect me to show up. But other people do. There are people come in there and use the room, and I don't even have to be there. It's open for anybody. So, just make use of it.
Well, wonderful. Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate you. Folks, listen, we're the Tinkering with Tech. I know that I still have the H&M logos, but we are definitely, I'm in the process. I'm going to get all that switched over. It's summertime and baseball and stuff like that, so I'm real slow to get some of this stuff done, but I'm going to be switching things over. I don't have anything tech in the news this week. We're going to go right to the closing credits, but as I always say, anytime you folks want to join, we have a private community where we do workshops. Matter of fact, I have no idea. I can't remember if I actually recorded and put the last workshop in there, but if I haven't, I need to do that. It's great. I mean, we get together and all of us kind of work on something together. So that's kind of what we do in there. I'd love to have you as a community member. If you have any topics that you would like to put, please do so. If you're watching this later, please put it in the comments and in YouTube, so that way I know what topics maybe you wanted to do. Any community members that want to come in afterward, we'll have the link for you ready to go. I do appreciate it. I'm going to thank my guest one more time, Andrew Hatchett. Thank you so much for coming,
Thank you.
and have a great day, folks.